what situation can I put myself in that will require me to operate in a higher mindset?
And this is why you got to start ask yourself that question: what would it cost you to not journey? The way you think, it would dictate how you will live your life.
Your mindset has to be in line with your aspirations and your goals.
Relearning something that you've been doing for a very long time, it might take you a little longer, but if you keep practicing, you keep
and being conscious as you learn and unlearn and implement, it's also very important to set a goal, like an attainable goal. And maybe goal. It doesn't have so much changes that it needs. So sometimes when we compare oranges to apples, we miss the mark.
We
have to compare apples to apples, and so that we are able to come up with the right results. Let's chill. Hello, bonjour, hola, sanibonani.
Namaste. What up, Chapter Chillers? Yes, it's your boy, your supportive friend, Coach LJ, and I'm with my best friend, my business partner, my awesomeness, the one and only Lady Caesar. Yes, she is in the building. So I would like to ask you, are you ready for another empowerment, transformative episode of Chilling with the Chaplins today? Yes.
Because our podcast is all about self-awareness
and
self-improvement and
being holistically better
and empowerment. So today I want to ask you a question. Have you ever wondered how transforming your today can elevate your tomorrow? Because sometimes we don't think about these things. So I think that question will make you just take 2 seconds and think about how if you elevate your today, and that just basically means you change your mindset.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Repent, right? No, repent. Change your course.
So the question is, why wait for a new year? Because people are like, I'll start we're still in the new year. We literally are. This is the second month of the year. So this is the best time to start. But don't wait to say, oh, I'll start in March or next month. Start now. Start today. Start. You can listen to this midweek. It's okay. You can start on Friday.
If you listen to this in June or 6 months later,
you can start
right then and there, anytime.
So that this will actually help to kickstart your life and get it to where you really want it to be. Because sometimes we just do things and it's they call it insanity, where we keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So I think the reason why we're talking about this episode is that we understand that mindset is the key to open all doors.
Yes.
Once you change this, then everything else changes. So we're going to actually be delving into that today and how we can level up our mindset today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, but today. We're going to do it together. So join us as we unpack the steps on how to truly enhance your awareness, presence, and overall joy in life. Because you know what? I'm a big believer in that success has a lot to do with your mindset. A lot. How to unlock your happiness, how to unlock your goals. It's all up here. It's all in the mind, what you think, how your belief system, how you were brought up, how you've changed that. So we're going to be talking about learning, unlearning, relearning, and because it's all important.
Yes. Even the scriptures say, and we quote it all the time, as a man thinketh, so is he.
Absolutely.
James Wright even wrote a book about it, as a man thinketh, so is he. Right. The way you think, it would dictate how you will live your life. Dictate who you connect with. It would dictate who you marry. The way we think.
And I think it's important for us to understand that your mindset has to be in line with your aspirations and your goals. You can't say one thing and expect another. You got to say something. And sometimes we've stopped dreaming because we're afraid of the accountability and the responsibility of what our goals require of us.
Yes.
Right? Sometimes it requires us to unlearn certain things and forget what mama and papa told us, what grandma taught us, because that really didn't work. If it worked, why weren't they successful? You know what I mean? Sometimes it takes that. You have to just change your mind and say, okay, this is the way that has been tried and tested, and so this is the way I'm deciding to go. So let's get into it and let's talk about some points on how to actually help us to get back to where we're supposed to be.
Yes,
Because,
get back.
yeah, get back on track, you know? So one thing is unlearning.
Yes, yes. Because it's very important that we unlearn things that we heard in the past, things when we grew up in our education system. You know, it's very important because, you know, we know now your younger years between the age of 6 and 9 is the foundational years. And so whatever you learn in those years can have a real big impact
On your belief
system in your life. And so if you was in the wrong education system,
not even like in terms of mainstream education, but from home.
from
Because
home,
remember-
yeah, anywhere, church.
Because remember,
It could be
home
from
is
church.
the first place where we get schooled.
School, yes, yes.
know,
It's
So some people don't have the best foundation on how.
especially if
they
you got
were
a
schooled.
single family parent.
Even double family,
Double
from a
fam-
double
yeah.
family, but still some things that
Yeah,
you
something,
learn
yeah.
from home, they were not the greatest. I'm from a single family, but some things that I've learned are great. Some are not. You know, so it doesn't really matter. I think the structure of your family, because we've got a lot of double family, complete families that are very dysfunctional.
Yes.
You know, so let's not put it in terms of, and we've got some single parents families that are very dysfunctional.
Yes.
That are
Very functional.
That are very functional.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you know, I'm just giving an example of one, but it's many things the reason why. But you know, that's why we got to be careful, because it doesn't matter where you come from, but if you don't got the right structure, or if you didn't get the right learning, it can hinder your growth. It can hinder you moving forward and progressive in life. And so, you know, like she said, I got some good training, but also got some bad training growing up. And it doesn't matter. It could be from school, it could be from church, it could be from education, could be society,
Church as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
church.
You said church.
Yeah.
Church. Yeah.
Yeah,
we run
church.
by
Yeah, church.
Because most churches, they teach doctrine. They don't teach God's
No,
word.
no.
They make up their own rules and
Rules,
they act
yeah.
as if it's from the Bible.
Yeah.
So let's be careful. Like, oh, you learned that from church. You gotta put like another pair of glasses
Yes,
to
yes.
look at that. And we're not saying church teaches wrong things, but we're saying that be mindful of what
mindful,
you learn.
yes.
And be ready to unlearn some things that you learned from such institutions.
Yeah, and
Because not all of them are the way to go.
yeah, and this is why to unlearn it's critical to always have an open mind. You know, to be open to receive new thoughts, to receive new information, to receive new, because a lot of times we so stuck like, oh man, that's that way is the only way. That way is the right way, and that teacher is right, and not necessarily it might not be right.
But I just feel like when you're unlearning things that no longer serve you.
Yes,
You know, and I think a great example will be self-talk.
self-talk.
You know, change how you talk to yourself. I would say 98% of the people talk negatively to themselves. And one would say, but I never talk to myself. Yes, you do.
Yes,
Your
you do.
inner thoughts, what you're thinking that it has not been spit out. And remember, the Bible even reminds that God knows even our thoughts, because the thoughts become things, right? And so if you're still talking down on yourself, if you still don't see yourself worthy enough, then there's problems there. You know, I was talking to a wonderful, friend of mine. I went to primary school with her, high school with her, and she was saying, "Sister, I know you." I'm like, "Yeah, we come way back from all the way from primary," and I'm just so blessed to still have her, to be connected to her. And she was saying, I've seen you push through the most hardest things, and I know once you put your mind on something, you do it. And yeah, that's me. I when I put my mind to something, no matter how hard it is, I will try and excel. You know, a great example is me doing taxes this year. I've always told myself that I'm not good in numbers. I'm not good in accounting. I don't like numbers. I don't want anything that's got to do with balancing what. So I took myself out of my comfort zone and I said, you know what, I'm going to learn taxes. As scared as I was, I didn't know what I was doing. But guess what? It turns out my boss released the 2 offices that I was working in, the statistics for the last 2 months since, tax season started, and I'm the top of the class. Like
top of the office.
Yeah, basically. I'm in my 90s, like what is that? My performance rate has been that great. And I applaud myself because I thought I could never do it, because I was always so frightened of numbers, of doing things that are got to do with accountancy and all that, because accountancy, listen, it hit my little butt. And I even had to have like private tutoring in my master's because accountancy was my thorn in my flesh. Yeah. So for me, I think this is a great example to say, go out there and do something that you think you would never been able to do.
Yeah, challenge the status quo.
Challenge yourself. Challenge your mind.
Challenge your mind.
And you're going to prove yourself wrong to say, hey, you can actually do this.
Yeah.
Who knew that Cesar would be the best tax preparer in town? Hello?
Challenge those bad habits. Yes.
And if Cesar can do it, so can you. So go and do that thing that you thought I could never do. You're going to see how great you'll be. You'll actually be the best out of everybody else, because your mind will show you that you actually can. You are looking down on yourself. So unlearn certain things by, first of all, canceling that self-sabotage.
Yes.
Canceling that negative self-talk.
Yes.
Change that language.
Change that mindset, that negative mindset.
Right.
That's thinking.
Right. And stop talking bad about yourself to yourself.
Yeah, because that's the biggest thing that we have to change, that unlearn, is the negative self-talk, the negative thinking.
I can't do it.
I can't do it.
Remove the can't and put can. I can do it.
Yeah, because I'm a great example of that, because that was a lot of things that I had to unlearn.
Yeah.
And it's because I self-sabotage myself a lot. And it's just by saying negative things to me. I can. And,
And every now and so often, we all have to be reminded that you're doing negative self-talk.
Yes.
Because we often, but I can't do that. I cannot do that. Why not?
Why not?
You can do it. Have you given yourself time to actually do it? No. Because you just think it's too hard. It's for certain people.
Yes.
You know? So, you can. There are certain things that limit us from reaching our potential because we have talked ourselves out of it.
Yes.
So before we even go and encourage other people, let's encourage ourselves. I love the Bible because
encourage yourself.
Paul said,
David.
Paul? Okay, David. There you go. See, David said, "I will encourage myself."
Yes.
Because people were not encouraging him enough, I guess. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to go to the mirror and say, David, you're the best of them all. And guess what? David became the best because he was able to fight Goliath, the giant.
Yes.
Can you imagine? And beat his ass.
Yeah.
So you go to a mirror and tell yourself, because I believe so much in affirmations that once you keep repeating these things and keep saying it, you start believing it.
Yes.
And that's what all the mind needs. We can trick our mind into making us the greatest people on earth.
Yeah, I agree. And so unlearning them old mindsets, habits, even about relationships, how we learn in society of, what is a man, what characterizes as a man, what characterizes as a woman, a man should be doing this and a woman should be this, and if you're a man, if you got this, and you're a woman, if this, so unlearning these different things, because you'd be surprised. Some of the things that we learn in society, it's
messed us up.
It messes up,
Yeah, so once you've unlearned, now you got to relearn.
But
because you can't leave yourself as a vacuum.
Yes.
Relearning certain things, like how, like we said, when we're unlearning, an example was self-talk, negative self-talk. How about now changing your language?
Changing your
when
language.
you're relearning, you used to say all the F words when you're talking. Who's gonna respect you? Which boardroom can you enter with that kind of language? First of all, so yes, you grew up in that environment, and
Yes.
it got to you. You thought that was the way to talk, but now you have to relearn ways on how to now conduct yourself as
Yes.
a professional, right? Learn how to speak to other people and speak of other people.
Yes, yes.
If you're the gossiper of the group, who wants to be your friend?
Yes, and relearn how to be a man. Relearn how to conduct yourself in a relationship. In marriage, you got to relearn.
And not say that, oh, my mama, my daddy did it that way.
Yeah.
No, you're not your daddy.
You're not your daddy. You're your own person. So you got to relearn how to treat a woman, how to treat a man. So these some things, because a lot of times, what we learned back then, we thought that was the way, because we see, we see our mama get hit and get beat by the man. So we like, oh, I guess we supposed to get hit. Or I guess it's okay for a man to hit us and beat us or whatever. That makes us a woman. That makes him a man. And so we had to relearn that it's not okay, and that we got to relearn how to treat a woman, how to love a woman, how to cherish a woman. And if you're a woman, you got to relearn how to respect a man. So so relearning these different things. And so and so we got to learn adapt new perspectives. And there's an old saying, the scripture said it perfectly: don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So you got to be willing to always consider renewing your mind. Always consider, we unlearning the mind. Because we don't want to be conformed to our way of thinking. We want to be conformed to the world standards of how we should conduct our life. But we want to renew and be transformed by relearning new perspective, new thoughts, new sayings, new philosophies. We want to always relearn it. And so even like with relearning by listening to podcasts, relearning by joining mentorship programs, relearning by lunch and learns and reading a book.
By surrounding yourself with people
that speaking positively.
Or where you want to go.
Yeah, where you want to go. Yeah.
Give us an example of one thing that you've implemented in terms of relearning, and what you've unlearned. Now all relearned.
One that I unlearned is my self-confidence, my my belief, and self-confidence. And how do I relearn? But the same thing that I tell you to do, I do. I read books. So
what about the self-confidence?
Huh?
What about the self-confidence?
Believing in myself, unlearning that, I am better. I am more, I can accomplish, not just speaking but actually believing it, saying that's self-confidence, because a lot of times you can get in your head. And just by believing in myself, but how do I stay consistent? Because sometimes, when you get up in age and you learn a lot of bad habits, it could take a little bit of time. It could take you a little longer than the person that's 20 that's had to do a little, had to unlearn some things, unlearn to relearn. It could be shorter for an individual that's 10 or 20 than a person that's 40 years old.
Right.
Because they got a lot of years of unlearning that bad habits that they learned throughout the years. 40 years of bad habits is a lot of bad habits. And so it's gonna take a little longer to unlearn those things, to relearn. But one thing is, I'm always staying fresh to new content, and always reading, always listening to podcasts, especially now with podcasts. It makes things easier, so this is how I continue to relearn, build up my confidence, knowing that I could do it. So this is ways how I'm able to relearn. Yeah. Okay. Now, what about yourself?
I already mentioned. That's why I asked you. I spoke about me jumping into doing an accountancy job.
Yes.
When I felt very uncomfortable with numbers, but now that's the past because I conquered that.
Yeah, and another thing too, I would say with relearning, what helped me as well, a strategy that I think ChatGPT. It helps even with my writing. You know, I had to unlearn because bad habits since I was a kid. My writing skill wasn't
Up to standard.
It's not. It was poor quality, and so had to unlearn how I used to write. You know, so that I can write better, so I can write according to the standards, and as well as even speaking.
Write like a PhD candidate.
Write like a PhD candidate. So, you know, I had to unlearn how to write, to relearn, and so adapting ChatGPT into my life, you know, be able to put my thoughts into ChatGPT. I'm putting my thoughts the way how I say it, you know, the way how I speak it, and then allowing ChatGPT to assist me to write it appropriately according to the English standards. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of my recent ones is, of course, my weight goal, my weight loss. Not eating meat. I've always had this fear. How do you live without eating meat? Like, I've heard about being vegan and being off meat for the longest of time, and how you can quickly see results when you're working on your weight. But I've always been like, nah, it's for certain people, not for me. I mean, I'm an African woman. What? Meat? I grew up on meat. What you talking about? We need the meat for the protein. We need the meat for the iron. Lies. And it's been 2 weeks. By the time you watch this, it'll be probably 3 weeks, but it's been 2 weeks because, you know. And I feel so fresh.
You're fresh, yes. That's what happened when you
feel so energized because there's no meat clogging my system, you know? And so I would encourage anybody who's trying to lose weight, who's trying to reverse certain illnesses, go on a plant-based diet. It doesn't have to be forever because I'm trialing it for 21 days. Maybe after 21 days, I might incorporate maybe white meat and not have to be strictly off meat, but it's been working wonders. And so how I have canceled out the unlearning is that I grew up thinking that meat is the way to go, like an African, you know what I mean? But I've learned that it is not really. You know, red meat takes 5 days, if not more, to digest in your body.
Yes.
So can you imagine if you're eating meat? We've been eating meat like 3 times a week, red meat 3 times a week.
Yeah, it takes longer to digest.
So you can imagine I've been clogging meat after meat after meat. My poor body, no wonder, you know? And so the fact that I've unclogged that system, I can even feel the water running down my intestines. How beautiful is that?
How beautiful.
I drink. When you drink, do you feel the water? Of course you don't. You're too clogged up with meat. I feel the water. I'm like, wow, it's going down the pipes. You know, so the little things. Yes, he doesn't want to go on a diet. So we'll leave them there, and we'll continue doing the right thing for ourselves. Okay.
I don't mind. I want to try it. But another thing too, even with myself, I wanted to add this when I was talking about my writing, even me speaking, and so how I'm learning about speaking because I have poor grammar with speaking, and so how I'm getting better is, you know, just by, you know, thank God for this podcast. I'm able to listen to myself. And this is how you could get better in speaking when you're able to listen to yourself speak and see how you speak and say, okay, you know what I'm doing now, trying to slow things down, trying to slow my speaking down, and trying to speak more clearly when I speak, and trying to spell out the words when I'm speaking, even though it's a little harder sometimes. but they're trying to do these things, working on day by day. I know learning something that you've been doing for a very long time. It might take you a little longer, but if you keep practicing, you keep
being conscious,
and being conscious. That's the key word: being conscious and again, being intentional, and by just like I said, just by rehearsing, listening to myself, over and over again. Every week, I'm always listening to myself, and I see what can I do better.
Yeah.
How can I pronounce my words a little bit better? Yes, some words I probably won't be able to pronounce a little bit, but because of my speech impediment, but just slowing down. Just not trying to rush, because when I'm rushing, I can start having these run off sentences and not. My wife said, not giving myself chance to breathe, and so just by breathing when I'm speaking. So I'm working on it. I'm doing better. I'm trying.
Good for you. Well done. So once you've unlearned, relearned, whatever that you've learned, implement. There's no point in saying, oh, I'm going to, and you don't do. Because in most cases, we are all talk, but don't do.
Yes.
So now let's learn to implement, because that's where the manifestation happens. That's where things start to happen. Because it's like faith. Faith without works is pointless, right? So even when we've learned certain habits, but if we're not going to implement them, then there's no point, right? Like how I've learned that meat is bad for my body. Now I'm actually implementing to see if it's really bad for my body, and I'm seeing the results. My skin is glowing. Come on.
Yeah.
I haven't put makeup for forever, because I'm removing things that I feel like are toxins to my body.
Yes.
And now my skin is able to breathe. I'm able to breathe. I'm not huffing and puffing as I used to. And I feel good. Today I wore a dress that was holding my arms. I love the dress, but it was just tight. And when I wore it, it was so nice and loose. And I'm like, okay, girl, okay, this girl is going somewhere. So I feel good about that I have not just learned about vegan or plant-based diet, but I've actually implemented. So whatever that you want to see in your life change, implement what you've learned. Go do your due diligence and research, and then implement.
Yeah, and go back to that, because I want to add to, because something that the Spirit of the Lord spoke to me maybe a few years ago, that go back to the earth, because our body can heal itself.
Absolutely.
just by doing these little things, these little plant based and vegan or whatever it may be, just eliminating some from foods in your diet, you will see your body getting fresh, more fresh, and getting better and healing itself. If you're a diabetic or whatever, just by implementing these little strategies of plant-based and vegan, just by doing these things, you can reverse some of these diseases or whatever. The doctor don't want you to know that, but you can reverse a lot of different diseases just by implementing different strategies of your eating styles. But I gotta say this too, because I got a caution, because this is where the manifestation hat, but this is where most people get stuck as well. Most people get stuck on this part, because they learn something, they learn it, but now it get overwhelming, because now man, what to do, how to do it, what steps can I take? This is it can get.
That's when you do it in small bites.
Yes,
you don't take big chunks, so that you're able to bite on it and chew on it and able to swallow. But if you're trying to be Superman or Superwoman, then of course it's gonna overwhelm, and you'll end up not doing it.
Yes.
And this is the time where you also reach out to coaches.
Yes, that's
right.
what.
Mentors, reach out. And
accountability partner.
For people who have done it. Like for me, I knew I wanted to do it. I wanted to start in January. I didn't, because I was just too. It was just the thought of it overwhelmed me. Weight loss. I was like, oh. But you know what? I actually manifested it, because I didn't even talk to this thing. All of a sudden, she comes into my inbox because she saw me post something on Facebook. I'm like, I would really love to lose, because I did, those AI things where I look so beautiful and slim and ever. Like, I wouldn't mind being this way. She's like, I can actually help you to get there. I was like, she's like, just inbox me, I'll tell you more. And I was like, what? She said, well, we have an accountability group and we're going plant-based and getting the body moving. I was like, okay, plant-based, oh my God. Here's that fear come to me again. Me of meat? Like, because I had to ask even like in the first week, you mean even fish? She said, anything that's an animal. I'm like, oh my God. Because I was like, what about prawns? You know, because white meat, they've said it's better.
Yeah.
I was like, what about prawns and fish? What about chicken? She's like,
No meat.
it breeds, right? No meat. So, and I'm pleased that I actually did it. Like you said, I got into the accountability group. I got seeing people do it. I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it. So get accountability groups. And we have an accountability group in our community,
Yes.
the Next Opportunity Window, where you can have people who have the same mindset as you
Yes.
help you to get and achieve your goals. It's that easy.
That easy.
It's, you know, it's there's nothing out of the ordinary that we do, but we're just there to support you in
Yes.
achieving your goals, help you to get to where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because doing
Yes.
it alone can be really, really
Very
hard.
frustrating, yes, and it's really hard to implement. It's very,
Right.
and this is why I say this the hardest part, because we know, a lot of us know what's right, we know what to do right, but it's hard to implement because, you know, that accountability partner, you know, or, you know, we know we need a coach, but we know a lot of times, sometimes we allow money to get in the way because we feel like it might cost a little something to get that accountability part. It might cost us something to join that mentorship program. It might cost us to join that community, but we know we need it. But we feel like, you know, this is why you got to start ask yourself that question: what would it cost you to not join? What it would have cost you to not have that accountability part? What would it not cost you? Because would your life be better if I joined this community? You know, if you know, I get it. I see the results. I see what the benefit of me joining. You know, through the training, through the coaching, through the masterminds, through the lunch and learns. You know, that you receive, as well as the fellowship with other like-minded individuals. You know, it's worth it.
Right.
It's worth it. Yeah. Even with, like I said, if you're an inspired entrepreneur, the 6-month mentorship boot camp, you know, being a part and going through the training and lessons, you know, where you don't have to go start a business blind, you know, yeah.
You're getting that support.
Getting that support.
Yeah, so and just actually being able to know how to put your knowledge into action. I think that's the best.
That's the best,
the key.
yeah.
How, because I knew that there's something called plant-based, but I just didn't know how I'm gonna eat and be full with just plants and leaves and all that.
Yes.
But you know what? You get
can.
full.
And here's another thing that I learned with the plant-based as well. You know, you do want meat, especially as you clean up. You do want some meat. But again, go back to that 80-20.
There's people who are vegan who don't.
I know, but you need that meat though.
No, you don't. There's supplements.
You're not. You need. Don't.
And remember, most of this meat is not that great anymore.
You do need but what I wanted to say about that, right? You get the 7 colors of the rainbow. You get all the rainbows. You eat all, because each plant has a different ingredients. You know, each plant does something does something different for you. So long you're getting all the colors of the rainbow.
Some plants are not great for you though.
No, I'm just saying the 7 colors of the rainbow. Long you're getting the 7.
What I'm saying, even if it's 7 colors, some of them are not great for you.
No, all plants is great. It depends. What plants is not great for you?
There are some plants. I can't think of any right on top of my head right now. Like right now, I'm actually on a high alkaline diet where it's mostly green, yellow, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
plants.
but you want the 7 colors though, right? But here's the thing: each plant does something different. So if you're on an alkaline diet, yes, then you don't want the other plants because they're going to do something else. It's not going to give you the alkaline. But the 7 color is so that you're able to get the different things you need for your body. So you get alkaline with this plant. You get something that the metabolics in this one, and the zinc in this one, and all these different things. You get different things in different plants. Like some things is more iron, some things is more iron. Some things it help you with your testosterone. Some things is so all different plants, different things is for different things that's for your body. But you need all of it to have a holistic body growth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, as you learn and unlearn and implement, it's also very important to set a goal, like
Yes.
an attainable goal, and
Smart goal.
attainable, which is a smart goal, and track your progress as
Yes,
well.
track it.
Because just like a person losing weight, every week I'm weighing myself to see how well I've done or how poor I've done. I know in the accountability group we have people who have not lost weight, and maybe because they're building muscle now.
Yes.
Maybe that water weight or whatever is off. Now they're working on their muscle, or they've lost enough that their body's like, okay, this is good. The fat is gone, whatever. We're working on our muscle.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be fat loss weight, but you're now building muscle strength.
Yes. And tracking, not just with weight loss, even when starting a business, you unlearn some things, you relearn it, you took a course, you got accountability. Now you want to track some things and implement the
Anything actually can be tracked.
You want anything. You have these KPIs. You tracking your progress. You tracking your goals. You tracking how far you get. Like even like with the YouTube channel podcast, how do we track? We have analytics inside the YouTube dashboard where we're able to see what video done better and what video doing great.
And what people like.
What people like, what people don't like.
And we know for the Sundays, you guys like the top 10 of this
Yes.
and of that. And if you haven't watched the top 10s of whatever top 10s that we've done, you better go watch it again.
So now you use different tools as well. One, to track different things. You have your calendar, you have your notes, you have Excel, you have the tracking, Google Analytics. Another one is Notion. If you don't know Notion, so this is ways how you can track yourself and just putting your data down so that you can stay on par.
Yeah. So because once you've done everything that we've mentioned, then you're gonna see growth.
Yes.
You're
growth
gonna see change.
Yes, you got to see change.
Right.
Change is gonna happen if you went through the process of unlearning, relearning, and implemented. Growth is it now. Now I'm gonna go back to the scripture. Now here's the joy. The joy is coming in the morning. Weeping was endured for at night. You endure a long season. Joy is coming in the morning. Now growth had to happen. And for some people, this is why another thing too, that you don't want to compare your journey with somebody else's journey, because you don't know what stage they was at and they're unlearning and relearning. Like I said, if you're 20, it's not going to take you long to implement and to unlearn.
But not even that. No, but maybe even like their life experiences.
Yeah, life experiences.
Maybe theirs was not as traumatic as yours.
Yes.
Maybe it doesn't have so much changes that it needs. So sometimes when we compare oranges to apples, we miss the mark.
We miss the mark.
We have to compare apples to apples, and so that we are able to come up with the right results, correct results.
The only person you should be comparing yourself to is yourself. That's it. Not to somebody else. It's to yourself.
You're your own competition.
You're your own competition. So you want to compare yourself to yourself. And so, this because your journey is your journey. So you can't compare with somebody else because you don't know what they had to go through. Right. You don't know what they went through. You don't know because again, when the teacher is ready, the student will appear.
Absolutely.
And so it might take you a little longer to get it, because a lot of times, you have to keep going over the same thing until you get it. You got this sometimes, because you're starting the journey, you unlearn it, you unlearn and you relearn, you learn some new perspectives, you learn some new things, but guess what? You just keep falling back to the old habits. You keep falling back to the same thing, and so guess what? You got to go back over again and keep unlearning and keep implementing until one day you passed it, and then that's when the growth happened.
Right.
So yeah.
Because one thing I know is that when you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, like you take yourself out of a comfort zone, then you're forced to rise above the occasion. Yes. You're forced to push, because guess what? You don't want to be seen as a failure.
Yeah.
So you're going to push against the grain. You're going to push to win,
Yeah.
right? And, so that's why it's important to always consistently and constantly put yourself out there. As hard as it may be sometimes, just put yourself out there and just see what will happen. Because what's the worst that can happen?
Yes, what's the worst that can happen?
That no change maybe. But at least you've tried.
At least you tried, yes.
And I'm sure while trying, there's some traits that you've learned.
Yes, and another thing too, when you in this process of unlearning, relearning, implementing, and growth, another thing too, this is why you want to put, going back to scripture, old wineskin with new wineskin. You don't want to mix the two. So that's why when you unlearning, you gotta let it go. You gotta keep it in the back, and so that you ain't stay fresh, because you don't want to miss the two. So yeah, so always reflecting, and that's why I love. I'm gonna go back to the reflection that I have on a daily basis. And if you're not, every day I do a reflection post. That you can start implemented in your life.
Go check it out. What is it?
Get inspired by LJ, or the next opportunity window. I do have it as well. And so everything I give you action steps. I give you a quote and I give you some pointers, and then I give you action steps that you could start doing and implement into your life, so that you could, start improving your life. On a daily basis.
Right. I'd like to challenge our viewers and say, ask yourself this question: what situation can I put? You're asking yourself this, right? What situations can I put myself in that will require me to operate on a higher mindset? What situation can I put myself in that will require me to operate on a higher mindset? Because in most cases, we're operating on a low
vibration, right?
Low vibration. And low self-esteem, low this and that. Because basically, all your brain needs is for you just to do that shift.
Yeah, do that shift.
Do that shift.
Do no tweaks.
Right?
And we expect sometimes to do the big dramatic change. Sometimes just more tweaks.
A tweak.
Small changes.
And you'll see the change. And I'll make a good example. It's as simple as I've mentioned the Savers, right? Which is part of the Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. If you can check that book out, it will change your life. And the link
will be in the description.
Yeah. And also something is also as simple as waking up in the morning and drinking water before touching anything. Just to clean your gut, clean your system and stuff like that. Something as simple as making your bed. Some people get up like cows. They don't make their bed. What a simple thing that can change your life, because it means you ending. When you make up your bed, it basically means I am ending the sleeping part of this day. Now I'm ready to start a new day.
Yes.
And it gives you such a great kickstart, because you're now saying, okay, I'm ready to go. And then can you imagine combining that simple task with the Miracle Morning, with doing your Savers?
Or meditation, reading
prayer,
your scripture, prayer.
Things like that, writing, scripting, exercising. I'm so enjoying that moment right now.
Yes.
Where when I know when I'm taking my walks, I'm doing my meditations while I'm doing it. I'm praying, because like we said, it's doctrine to go on your knees and pray. It holds people back from actually.
That's another thing that you had to learn.
Yeah, it holds people back from actually going to God, because I don't have time to. You can pray while you're driving to work. You can pray while you're in the shower. You can pray while you're taking your walks. It's just, all it means is just
communicating. Communication. Yes.
So don't hold yourself back and saying, "Oh, but I need to go on my knees." Go if you have the time.
Yes.
Or if you have made the time, because sometimes all it takes is just make the time. Like how we make time for watching TV, scrolling on social media. Make time to go on your knees.
Yeah.
But if you don't get the time, maybe you're a busy mom, working mom who's studying, or dad, or whatever the case is, then use those quiet moments to just
because
to do 911 to heaven.
Even if you sitting down in a chair and you just take the time out to pray. You know,
Quiet
you pray.
time.
Quiet time, you praying. You don't have to go on, like I said, that's another thing you have to learn, because you feel like, oh man, if you ain't on your knees, you ain't praying. That's not true.
Put your hands together.
You gotta put your hands together. You being so deep and so spiritual. Nah, man. Just walking, just talking to
God
the Lord.
is our daddy. So,
Yes.
you know, just like how you speak to your daddy, you don't really just go on your knees and
Yes.
stuff like that.
Yes.
Just talk to daddy.
Just talk to him. And because you can walk around back and forth. I guarantee eventually, if you pray long enough, if you pray, you're going to feel something. You don't have to be on your knees. If you want pacing back and forth, you're just pacing and you're just talking to the Lord. You can feel the same thing if you're on your knees or if you're standing or you're laying prostrate on the floor.
Right. And we're not discouraging people who are doing all the other stuff.
Yes.
Because if it works for you, then good for you.
Good for you.
But
yes.
what we're discouraging is that people must not be discouraged to do these things because they're unable to do it the way that it was done by our mothers and fathers.
Yeah, and we're not saying it's the wrong way, but it's not the only way. That's what we're saying. It's not the only way to pray. You know, yes, it's good to go on your knees, because I still go on my knees, but I understand now because I unlearned, relearned that that's not the only way to pray. That I can walk when I'm and to speak to the Lord and still get the same touch, and still get the same touch walking and talking to Him on my knees, just driving, talking to the Lord. I can still get the same touch and the same feeling. You know, if I was on my knees. So yeah.
So just be on alert and watch these little changes, because sometimes we don't even want to celebrate our small wins. I've been posting on my WhatsApp stories on my small wins, on how last week I lost 2 pounds. This week I lost 6 pounds. And next week I hope we lost 8 pounds. Okay, whatever the case is, even if it's just a pound extra, I will still celebrate.
Still celebrate. It's something. It's better than nothing. And so these small things,
it's important.
It's still growth. That's still growth. You know,
it's still a win.
It's still a win. You know, and it might not be the big win, but again, like we said last week, compound interest, that compound effect. That 1 pound, them 2 pounds, that one step you took is still compound interest. It still adds up to the bigger one, to the 10 pounds. It's still if you want to lose 50 pounds, if you want to make 10,000 more, guess what? You saving $20 a day, eventually add up to $10,000 if you keep saving and for the long haul. Yeah.
And then once you're seeing that,
don't despise small beginners. Again, just don't despise small beginners.
And once you're seeing that you are on a winning streak and what you've been implementing is winning, just do repeat. Press repeat, because you're winning, and maybe take it a notch higher and see how things turn out.
Yes. Yeah. So definitely that repeat, that rinse and repeat. We want to emphasize that you have to repeat what you are doing. If it's working, don't
be consistent.
Do it again. Do it for the next one, because maybe you're working right now. Maybe you're working on your business and you succeeded. Now you want to work on your relationship. You got to go through the same process of unlearning, relearning, implementing to see growth, and then you repeat. And you do that because never stop. Like, even you see yourself, you lost the weight. Guess what? So that you can keep the weight off, you got to keep going through that same process because it's a journey. We gotta remember, it's not a marathon. I mean, no, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. So this thing is a lifelong journey of unlearning, relearning, implementing, growth, and repeat. And split, because every now and then, bad habits don't try to creep in. It's more negative, a lot of negative in the world. So every now and then, don't try to creep in. So you got to always go through that process of unlearning, relearning, implementing, growth, and repeat. So definitely we want to emphasize the repeating part, because it's very critical to repeat in the things that you are doing, especially if it's working.
Push those boundaries.
Yeah.
Push.
Push your limits.
Yep. And that's how
push your mindset.
That's how you grow.
Yeah.
That's how you grow. So I think let's wrap it up on leveling up your mindset. And I think this is the best not even I think, this is the best way to start off your year, to kick off your year. Just getting that mindset right. Because whatever that you plan for the year, whatever goals, whatever resolutions that you plan, they're not going to happen if your mindset is still the stuck up same one.
Yes.
You got to change. And I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to myself as well.
Yes,
we got to change our mind, how we think. We got to change how we see things. You know, and that's how we're going to see growth, and that's how we're going to see change in our lives.
I agree. And I would like to say, if you feel stuck in any way, anytime you get stuck, come back to the video. Come back to the podcast. Re-listen to it again so that you could get back on track. So, you know, we encourage you. If you get stuck in any way, come back to the episode and re-listen to it. Watch it again. Rehearse it again. This is how we going through that process of unlearning, relearning, implementing, growth, and repeat. It's just by going back over the same process and listen to the same things, so that, especially when we get stuck, because you might get stuck. I know you most likely. I still get stuck every now and then of unlearning, relearning. So yeah, but I have the things that I do on a daily basis, my daily routine that I do on a daily basis to help me to get unstuck and to stay unstuck.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing, to stay unstuck.
Yes.
But so the question is, are you ready now to embark on this transformative journey of mindfulness with us? Because we're gonna be your support structure.
Yes.
We can be. If you want us to be, we can be that
accountability
partner for if you need
your coach.
Yep. And are you all ready to commit to continuous growth and self-discovery?
Are you ready?
Because if you're not, then this video is not for you. But if you are, then you've come to the right place.
Yes.
Let's get it started. Let's get it going.
Let's get it popping.
Remember, Chillis, it's not all about the journey of unlearning, relearning, and implementing growth and repeat. Let us keep supporting each other.
That's the key word right there. Let's keep support. Don't bash one another. Don't talk about each other. You know, don't do that, because we're not helping no one by again, because you overcame it and they didn't. Okay, you know what? They still have some challenges. It's okay. If you encourage them, they'll get over it. If they're not doing something great, you encourage them. Maybe they need you to show them the way.
I always say that.
Don't gatekeep information. That's another. Don't gatekeep information.
And I always say it doesn't take anything away from you to compliment somebody.
Yes. If I'm doing something wrong, you know, I see the post out about, you know, everyone should be a podcast. You know, if a person's doing something wrong, okay, you know what? If they are, show them. But the person also had to be open to the critique or whatever. But yeah.
All right, so we'd like you to subscribe to our channel if you haven't.
Yes.
Please do. We appreciate that. And we really appreciate everybody that has stayed with us and who watches our videos to the end, because why do you watch it halfway?
Yes.
And until we see you again, stay tuned, stay mindful, stay awesome, and keep
chilling. You know, we gotta say that.
Video,
keep chilling. Yes, if you enjoyed this episode, check out the next episode we have for you. Yes, and like we always say, deuces.
Peace out.
Peace.
Take care. Bye-bye.